All right, hey, today I'm going to completely reveal Kyrie Irving's handle secrets. All right, so Kyrie is arguably the best ball handler of all time, and he's got 5 specific secrets that if you add to your game, you're gonna be able to instantly increase your handles, increase your shiftiness, and break more ankles. So the very first one is what I call a loaded leg. Now this doesn't have anything to actually do with dribbling the basketball, but it has to do with the setup of it all. And so you'll notice that anytime Kyrie catches the ball or as he's getting ready to go into a move, he's always loading this back leg like it's a spring. So if he's getting ready to come up and do a hesitation, he'll hezzy, but then he'll load this leg, so as soon as he comes out of it, wham, he's got a big kind of burst of energy to go by. Now this initial burst is one of the reasons why he's got one of the best first steps in the NBA, while he's not necessarily like the most athletic guy in the NBA, like a Russell Westbrook or something like that, but he still blows by guys like they're standing still, is because he sets up the movement with his back leg no matter the situation, right? Same sort of thing, if he's gonna hit like an in-out cross, he'll hit an in-out, and then as he's getting ready to do a cross, he's loading this leg up big time, throwing his shoulders, bam, exploding the opposite direction. So if you want to have that fast first step and the fastest first step on your team or even in your league, really focus on loading that leg as you're beginning your movements, and you're gonna get crazy, shifty, and explosive. All right, the next secret that Kyrie uses that you need to add to your game is what I call float dribbles. Basically meaning that you need to be able to move laterally with the ball and let it spin in your hand so you can set up the defender, right? So you notice if you watch like slow motion videos of Kyrie breaking somebody down one-on-one, you always notice that the ball's hitting his hand and it spins as it's kind of going up. And essentially what he does is he doesn't put his hand underneath the ball, he keeps his hand on the side or on top to essentially float the ball up so then he can hit another move out of it. If you watch the best handlers in the world and the shiftiest guys, they all utilize these float dribbles. And what you want to be able to do, like Kyrie, is utilize them in different directions, right? He can float out to the right, he can float out to the left, he can float backwards away from the defender to the right, he can do the same thing to the left, he can even go downhill, float it, and then snap it back off for a pullback or something like that. So work on float dribbles, and the whole key is having your shoulder level go high to low, low to high, letting that ball spin and be kind of nice and loose in your hand, and making sure that your hand's not underneath the ball, because the more you can float it, the more you can manipulate the defender, the more you can wait to read how they play or move, and the more you can explode out of it. All right, the next huge secret is what we call deceleration, or stopping, right? And Kyrie is an absolute master at slowing his momentum way faster than the defender can. And that's why he's so shifty, because he can stop on a dime, pull it back, crossover, do whatever he needs, and it all starts with his ability to stop. Now there's 2 main keys that allow him to be an elite level stopper. And basically the first one is what I call nose over knees. If I'm driving towards the paint and I want to stop on a dime, I want to try to get my nose over my knees, because if my chest is up, that's going to be a lot slower of deceleration. So you'll notice anytime Kyrie's going to do a pullback, step back, crossover, he drops his head down, and essentially his nose is going to be over his knees, just like this. So that's key number 1. Think nose over your knees. If your nose gets out too far, right, if my nose gets way over my knee, all of a sudden I'm going to be off balance. It's going to be really hard to stop. I'm probably going to get a travel, right? So that nose over knees is kind of the like secret spot to keep from great deceleration. The next key that he uses all the time is what I call a foot drag. And it's basically the simple concept of if I'm trying to stop this direction, my back foot, instead of being up on the court like this, is actually going to twist and drag like this. And you'll notice if you slow down a lot of the best ball handlers and the most shifty guys, if you watch their back leg, all the time, their ankle's twisting down like this, and they're essentially dragging their back foot. And the whole reason why is it allows them to get lower. It allows them to get more explosive, and it allows them to stop with better balance because they can do it. So anytime you're doing your moves, let's say it's a crossover, and I'm gonna come here, think about dragging this foot and then exploding off of the other one, right? If you can get used to dragging those feet, essentially it's gonna help you a ton, and you're gonna be way, way, way more shifty than if you're trying to keep both feet on the ground at the same time. The next Kyrie Irving secret is an active offhand. Now you might think about like, well, what does your offhand have to do with being able to dribble the basketball? And basically it's the concept that you can use it as a tool to make your dribbling more effective, right? So if you watch Kyrie, no matter what move he's hitting, if he's working on breaking down a guy and he's trying to go by him, he's using this offhand to chop their arm bar, to create a little contact, to create a little extra separation. So while it might not be the main part of the dribble, it's actually just as important for the separation that he creates, the shiftiness that he creates, because a lot of times he's using it to essentially win the battle with the defender, right? So what I want you to think about is you can have the best handles in the world where you could break anybody down, do the best dribbling moves. If you go by somebody and they can forearm you, they can bump you with their hips, they can do whatever it is, it's gonna be really hard to beat anybody off the dribble unless you can kind of fight that battle with your off arm. So think about, getting aggressive. anytime you're working on ball handling drills, let's say, I'm working on like roll crosses or whatever, you want to work on a roll cross and then work on having this movement of fighting and battling as you're working on your drills, even if nobody's there, right? If you got a friend or a buddy or a skill coach, have them bump you around so you can really work on getting aggressive with that off arm. Now, keep in mind, there's a certain level you want to take it to. You can't start elbowing, throwing punches, shoving people and stuff. It's got to be active, but it can't be so active that you're getting offensive fouls, right? So think about that. And Kyrie is the absolute master at this. He can get in, start his drive, bump, chop, swipe, push, whatever it is, and it doesn't shove the person backwards, it just allows him to advance past them, and that's why he can blow by pretty much anybody. All right, next we've got ball fluidity. Now I touched on this slightly with the float dribbles, but it's basically just the concept of that your hand isn't glued to the basketball, right? So if you watch Kyrie crossover, he doesn't have stiff hands where it snatches the ball and it pounds it back and forth. If you watch most of his dribbles, it's very fluid. The ball spins in his hand, it twists in his hand, it kind of comes out of his hand and comes back in. And it's this ball control and ball fluidity that allows him to manipulate the defense so easily and allows him to be super, super shifty, right? And if you look at the best ball handlers of all time, guys like Allen Iverson, Tim Hardaway, Nick Van Exel, if you want to go back in the archives, they were all the same way, where they were really good at letting that ball spin, letting it twist, and essentially use that to set up their next dribble as they're working on their combination moves. So think about when you're doing any sort of dribbles, unless you're doing warm-ups, right? If you're doing like pound dribbles for warm-ups or crossovers for warm-ups, that's fine. But any other ball handling drill you're doing, really work on letting the ball spin and getting nice kind of ball fluidity in your hand. And if you can do that, I promise you, when you get in game, you'll be able to be so much more shifty because the ball is just an extension of your body at that point. And it's gonna help you out a ton. All right, if you wanna handle like a pro, you gotta train like a pro. So hit the link in the description down below and get free instant access to the Pro Class Pro Handles workout. This is a workout that was put together specifically by some of the best ball handlers in the NBA, guys like Chris Paul, CJ McCollum, and Damian Lillard, to help you get an elite level handle, all 100% free. All right, do me a favor, hit the like button because it helps us out. And if you're new to Shot Mechanics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, ding the bell notification, all that good stuff, because we put out videos every week and I promise they're gonna help you out. Again, I'm Coach Colin Castello, Shot Mechanics Basketball, and until next time, splash on.